Welcome to the Wedco podcast, where wedding wisdom meets street smarts.
We're dishing out all the tips, tricks, and wedding goss to take your wedding to the next level.
Time to ditch the formalities and get this party started. Hello and welcome to the Wedco podcast. I'm Togger.
I'm Joel.
And today we have Roxy on the podcast from Bunch It Up Florals. How
Welcome.
you going, Roxy?
Hi guys, how are you?
Good.
Wow.
Thank you so much. Now, Roxy is very nervous today, but I think this is going to be our best episode to date.
100%.
Really?
I'm gauging that for sure.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed.
Perfect. Maybe we can start off with, I guess, who you are, how long you've been in the industry, a little bit about your business.
Oh, okay. So, well, I work at Jimboomba. I have a shop front at Jimboomba. But I started hairdressing when I was 15, which is a long time ago.
Yeah.
Bought a few shops, used to work for people, managed, taught hairdressing in Melbourne, carried on.
Yeah.
Moved back up to Queensland and was still working. I think I had like 4 or 5 hairdressing shops at that time.
Oh, wow.
And decided I needed change, but wanted to still do something, artistic, creative, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah.
And in the area where my shop is, they were demolishing, rebuilding. So I thought, maybe I'll put a florist shop in, thinking, this will be easy.
Yeah.
No. But anyway, went through a few years and we finally got it. So it's a very small little shop.
Yeah.
We have, the usual like soaps and flowers and candles and more flowers, antiques, bits and pieces. And then, started servicing the area. Of course, my florist is right behind my hairdressing salon at Jimboomba. So it was a lot of walking backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
Then I hired someone and then it just started growing.
Yeah.
We did a few small weddings. We'd get a few girls walk in and say, hey, could you do my bridal bouquet, etc. But then I did my eldest daughter's wedding at the Earth House, which was just amazing.
Stunning.
Absolutely beautiful. So we packed everything up in a trailer, very professional. Off we went to do her wedding. And then her girlfriends were like, wow, your mum does this? Mm-hmm. And it just rolled and rolled. Okay. And we still do small weddings from the shop. And for example, this morning I had a chat with a beautiful girl, Steph.
Yeah.
She just wanted to go over buttonholes, corsages, little, just to feel. And she just actually messaged me while I was waiting for you guys. She's like, I feel so much better. This is great.
Oh, that's awesome.
So just to give her reassurance. Yeah. So we still do a lot out of the shop, smallish, because it is a small shop. There's no room.
Yeah. Okay.
And we do, funerals, party, cover everything there.
Yeah.
But then we have a small studio where most of the weddings and the girls that work for me for weddings come. We just, play around, have fun, put the music on.
Yeah. Is that in Jimboomba as well? Or is
it's at Mundoolan, so it's a little bit away.
Yeah.
So and then it's just grown.
That's
I know,
awesome.
All this social media.
Yeah.
And all the young ones are into it. It's amazing. The first wedding I did, which, as I said, a bigger wedding.
Yeah.
With designer pieces and overheads and what it was my daughter's, as I said.
Yeah.
But her bridesmaid was like, we have to put this on Instagram. I had no idea. I was like, what the hell's that?
Yeah.
Anyway, she took photos, So they're our first Instagram posts.
Oh, wow.
So,
Cool.
yeah.
And how long ago was that?
Probably about 8 years.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, awesome.
But I've had the florist for maybe 14 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And I am banned from social media.
Okay.
So, I'm freaking out. I'm going to say the wrong thing. My daughter will be horrified.
Sitting in the corner moderating over here.
Yeah. If you saw that, do not touch anything, Mum. Get your fat fingers off. But she has a really good eye and she does our social media.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
So
is a bit of a family business coming into it?
well, most of the girls that work for me, beautiful girls, and it's funny because I'll send them out on a job and they're like, you're Roxy's daughter.
Yeah, okay.
So apparently I'm everyone's mum. I have quite a few daughters.
Yeah.
But it does feel like it because they have some of them have children.
Yeah.
They come to my home.
Yeah.
We hang out sometimes. So so they're really, really great girls and I've trained most of them.
Yeah, okay.
And it's a little bit like that with my I only have one hairdressing salon now. I've downsized.
Okay.
Yep.
And the girls that work there have worked for me forever.
Yeah,
So,
that's so cool.
yeah, I have a really great team at the moment. I'm really blessed.
Yeah.
That's so
Okay.
good.
Just like
After
holding on to everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Don't go
Yeah.
anywhere.
Definitely. But yeah, no, it's good. But my daughters, my eldest and my youngest,
Yep.
both have worked and done a lot of playing with flowers with me.
Yep.
And they're both, especially my eldest, she's got a really good eye. She's very talented, you know. So sometimes I might be making something for her and she's like, no, just kind
That
of,
ain't it,
let's start again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's got a good eye and I'm terrible at taking photos.
Yeah. Okay.
So I leave that to all the young ones.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
you know, she does good.
Is there
Yeah.
any pressure to get them more involved at all, or is it you're happy where you are?
No, I don't think I have to. Like, they have really good jobs.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the eldest now has children.
Yeah.
You know, she has a very good job, but they love it.
Yeah.
They love
Yeah.
coming. You know, if I say I've got a wedding at Rosewood, they're like, oh, Mum, I'll come and help. You
Yeah,
know, like
perfect.
they love it, and the venues are beautiful.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes there might be a toddler in tow, so
Yeah,
I kind of
exactly.
go, no, that's
Not
okay,
today.
not today. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Perfect.
Going back to what you were saying before, how your daughter, she helps you out with the Instagram and stuff. Like, it's a proper, like, there's like a science to it, I swear. Like, I'll post something and my wife's like, babe, that sucked. Like, what? Delete. I'm like, just you do it. Like,
No, but you get it. You get, babe, that sucks. No, I get in capital letters, do not touch anything again. You have just reposted or the stories.
yeah. Yeah.
And she's like, oh, for goodness sake, Mum. And I go, oh, I don't know. I didn't think it, I didn't think it worked, so I had to do it again.
yeah.
But
So now there's 9 stories after.
Roxy's been signed out of Instagram now.
they actually did that. It's not a joke. They had a family meeting, and her and her husband
And I wasn't invited.
Yeah, and my other daughter, they did. They actually signed me out and went, that's it. Because I was like, how come I can't get in there? And they're like, that's because we've made it that way.
This technology thing's
Parental
not working.
controls.
Definitely. But my one of my florists is actually leaving. Oh,
Yeah.
she left last week, and
Yeah,
beautiful girl, an amazing florist. So it's really sad, but she helped me with a lot of bookwork.
Yeah.
And the computer stuff. So my youngest daughter, we're having one-on-one lesson this afternoon.
Yeah.
I don't know who'll be teaching who, but we'll see how we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
How many staff do you have at like currently, just for the floristry side of
For the
things?
floristry
Yep.
side, I have a lady that works, a young girl, 2 girls in the florist
Yep.
in the shop, but they're happy to help with weddings.
Yeah. Okay.
Courtney, one of my head florists, who I trained from a baby, she has just had 2 children
Yeah.
in a row. So she doesn't work in the shop anymore,
Yeah, okay.
but she helps me with all the weddings. So I call on her, I'll give her my run sheet, my wedding list, and,
Yeah.
she says, yep, I can be there. So we'll prep and get all the weddings. On a Saturday, most of the time she's happy to help.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's there for me. But sometimes, if something's come up, a family member of hers is having a birthday.
Yep.
So we just kind of check all that in advance.
Yeah.
But then I can also get Monique, who's in the shop.
Yep.
Or I've just hired a lovely young girl. She's actually come up for the Scenic Rim. She was here at Rosewood with me
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
the first
Yep.
time, and
Yep.
she was like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she's quite talented. She's a really clever little girl. So she'll come. I think she's coming this next week to one of the weddings
Awesome.
Yeah,
to
okay.
help. Just, help me carry all the buckets.
Yeah.
No, they're all good.
We
They're
always
really
see
good
you
help.
like slaving away in the morning while we're in here taking photos, and it's a job, that's for sure.
That's what I mean. Like, especially here, I say to Simon, please do not drive on my grass, Rox. I'm like, yes, Simon. But it keeps you fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes I'm on my own, but most of the time I have someone just to help and,
Yep.
run everything back and forward, and then feel, and it's good. It's how they learn, because wedding work is different to shop work.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize you had the hairdressing side of things as well. Is that for catering to weddings as well, or is that separate?
We used to do a lot of wedding work,
Okay.
especially when I worked there, because
Yeah.
I was very good at upstyles and that type of work, especially from Melbourne and the people
Yeah.
that taught me. We still get a little bit, but no, it's not just that. It was just my first career, so
Just
it's
salon, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
But no, and my main girls that work there have been with me, 10, 12 years. So they just more or less run. And I just come in and out and go, we should do this or we should do that. And they go, and then they just let me leave and they do exactly what they want to do. Yeah, exactly. But,
good chat, Roxy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe not in those words, but anyway. But yeah.
You're based in Jimboomba.
Yes.
Are you servicing most of like kind of from Sunny Coast down to Byron, or are you specialising in some areas?
We kind of go anywhere. If you pay us, we're going to travel.
Yeah, of course.
I've just come back. I came back last weekend from Melbourne. We did a really nice little bespoke wedding in Melbourne.
Beautiful.
And it was beautiful. Like, we got there. Well, I got there. Off we went to collect the flowers. I'd rung up ahead, found a wholesaler, and the produce was beautiful. So we just got everything. And but it was in the backyard. We're just putting it all together. But it was a beautiful little place. I can't remember the name. The bar, a little pub bar.
Okay.
Really cute. But I don't want to get too grand or too big at the moment because, dare I say, I am getting on. If I had have probably started floristry when I was in my 20s or 30s instead of hairdressing, it probably would have been a lot bigger. But I'm happy with what we do and the amount we do, and just like looking after our brides. And
I mean, we've done a bunch of weddings with you, and like you do great work.
Seems like
so.
there's a lot,
thanks.
a lot of
Thank
weddings.
you.
I come and I look at the run sheet, I'm like, bunch it up. Awesome. There's a lot of weddings. So
for a little, it's funny, for a little shop in Jimboomba, when some people say, where are you? But, it's just word of mouth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even, because I'm not good on the social media, but it's more word of mouth. And so is my salon. Like, even the girls that have worked for me now, I mean, I work there every day.
Yeah.
And we built it. And now I think I've got like 6, 7 staff in there, and they're just, it's crazy. They're all great.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable. So we do the weddings, and then I built that. And some people will say, can you do this and this? They just get too big. And I take my hat off to some of the young girls that, but there's so much logistics and finding extra staff.
Yeah.
I work with a stylist from Sydney. We'll do basically anything. Again, it's all beautiful and fun.
Yeah.
Did I say that? And hard work.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you have a regular suppliers, I guess, as far as flowers and everything go, that you just hit up certain wholesalers around the area and they're going to have X, Y, Z there?
Yeah, we do. Look, all of us basically buy from the same places.
Yeah,
I mean, there's sometimes when I might have a bride say to me, look, I'm really, I'm sorry, but I'm going to go with someone else. She's cheaper or whatever. And that's great. But we all buy from the same guys.
Okay.
A lot of us will find, home-based, producers or flower growers.
Yep.
I did have a few amazing people at Jimboomba, but due to weather, they've finally, given up and said, look, this is $40,000. A storm's rolled through. It's all done. I've had it.
Yeah.
But sometimes I have bought a few things from Melbourne, Sydney.
Okay.
And I know some of the bigger, the bigger girls, I mean, they do get a lot from there. And I talk to them. I have no issue in ringing up and saying, hey, guys, where did you get this amazing product? What do I do? But because of the size of the weddings, unless I do a really, really big event, it's not. But I will travel. I will drive from that one to that one to that one. Sorry, that one to that one to that one to get what we need.
Yeah.
It's a good little community like that. Hey, like I feel like the wedding community on the coast is like you can just kind of hit people up, and we're all kind of happy to like collaborate and like share our tips and ideas. And
It's good. And especially through COVID, it was hard. I mean, Mandy's rang me. Oh, I'm really sorry, I'm stuck. I can't get here. Can you get there? I said, yeah, I can. So, why not? And I know a lot of the younger girls. There's a huge group. They all help. They all work with each other on bigger size events.
Sure.
Yeah.
So far, I've been lucky. I will ring them. For example, as I said, where did you get this product?
Yeah.
Etc. Or I'm having trouble with the quality of my flowers. Have you got any ideas? What can I do? Who have we not found?
Yeah.
But you have your ups and downs. Sometimes you just pull your hair out. Maybe that's why I'm so great. You pull your hair out and you're like, this quality is really bad.
Yeah. So what do you do in that kind of scenario? Like if you
cry,
just weep.
we'll loop back to that. But like, how far in advance before someone's wedding do you like order their flowers? Like,
Look,
what's that sort of time frame?
Timeframes, we order like 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, okay.
That's for a wedding that's, I mean, sometimes I can rock in and this is where it is good to have relationships. I can rock in to them and say, hey guys, I've got a wedding on Saturday.
Yep.
And they look at me and I know they're saying you should have ordered. I was like, no, it's just happened.
Last minute, yep.
Or the florist, something's happened, whatever.
Yeah.
But normally 6 to 8 weeks. But in saying that, I mean, I can, and it happens to all of us. We could order 50 bunches of dahlias. And due to the weather or a bug or whatever, or everyone else in the whole of Queensland's getting married that weekend, you rock in and you've got 2 or 3 bunches and you do start crying. I have actually gone, what are they? But you work through it. You'll find other substitutes.
And that's why it's good to have like, I've got a close relationship with Mandy. And the amount of times she's mentioned to us, like, similar situation, and so I hit up this person, or and then they had a couple of bunches, and then they kind of sent me over here, and they had a similar looking flower and stuff like that. So, it's cool to have like a really good community around you and stuff like that.
And you do, like I mean, I can hang. I mean, I do have a problem. I know I was nervous today, but I do have a problem with talking. So when I get to the markets, I might see Andy, blah, 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 blah. I might see someone else, and then I'll go from one to another. And then sometimes I walk back and someone's actually, not picked up their order or they've changed their mind. And I think, oh my God, I needed that. Great. But there's, you do, you just go in and beg. Please, do you have this? But if you buy there regularly or they know you really well, you have a good relationship.
For sure.
Yeah, they're going to look after you for
But we get there. We do get there. We try not to stress the brides about it, but we get there.
They don't know it. And how are brides? Okay, so there's a certain, X flower they really wanted, and because of seasonalities, it can't happen. Are brides pretty good?
Look, I really haven't had that where they're like, I want, a such and such flower, because I basically upfront say, it's seasonality, but it's also the weather. It's also, who knows if we're going to get a storm and the whole farm is going to be wiped out. I really like to try and work with colours. And, like if they want whites and greens, do they want a classic? Do they want a a tropical vibe, or do we want natives?
Why roll for natives?
No, I do love natives, but sometimes I don't know. It's hard sometimes to try and make them look a bit different. A bride might send you a whole heap of photos, and you can see a common thread. And I go, okay, she definitely likes this. She definitely likes that, and then we might have a chat. But I don't want to copy her work. We want to make it our own. But they're lasting. And they work well, but they can get a bit heavy. If you have 2 or 3 proteas. And then the month you want white or pink proteas or Banksias, for example. They're not going to be there. Through whatever. I do have a sneaky local supplier.
There we go.
Proteas. So I've kept him in my back pocket.
Perfect. No one finds out about that.
He's like, do you think anyone else? I said, no one else needs to know you're here.
Don't go on Instagram. You don't need to be on Instagram, mate. No one's there.
No, we're fine. Actually, he's a neighbour and he grows the most amazing proteas. So, I just kind of, he rings me, texts me, zip round. I'm like, okay.
Perfect.
On my way.
But no, so I try and do that and let them know that maybe it might not be available.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
how do you go? We've talked to other people with that have big jobs, and they, for the safety of it, will go with florals that come from overseas, just because of the safety, I guess, in that it is going to be a product they want. Do you ever do that, or are you pretty much local as much as you can?
No, we do both. We do both.
Okay.
So I will. Look, most of the wholesalers I work with, they get imports. So they get their imports, and basically to get your big-headed roses that everyone reflexes and, all that type of work, you have to use those.
Okay.
There are a few local growers that you might get a good rose that you can work with. But it depends on the look you want. If it's classic with the big open, or do you want more cottagey and more, fuller. But we do both. I'm happy to do both. There's different dahlia growers or different growers will have different colours and things. But again, it's, you've got to have your kind of finger out there in every pie.
Definitely.
And, keep your fingers crossed because, and again, just don't promise them.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a hard thing to say, but don't promise. You know, the wedding I did in Melbourne, she wanted blue hydrangea.
Yeah, okay.
Now I spoke to them. No worries, Rox, we're going to have heaps.
Yeah.
And the week before, so we had peonies and blue hydrangea, and I rang up. Oh no, we're not having any. They're not flushing properly. So, and it was a hydrangea farm.
Yeah, okay.
So,
wow.
but he was wonderful. We got there, and she was a great bride. She goes, you know what? Let's do whites and pinks, and let's
Yeah.
change it. So it was it was
cool.
amazing, and we changed it at the last minute. But you know, I go to the market this morning, blue hydrangea.
Exactly.
So you know, it's just such a tricky thing. It's really hard not to because I want to say to you,
Yes.
I'll give you whatever
Guarantee
you want.
Totally.
Yes.
But it's just nature you're working with, so
Yeah.
it can be tricky.
Is there a certain vibe that you kind of looking at weddings, something that you really want to like work on at the moment?
I normally, if I want to do a particular style or play around, I
Yeah.
will normally do that with the wedding trails.
Yep.
Yeah, perfect.
You know, the last time I worked, I did one here for Bronwyn. I don't know if it came out like a big, you know, pride-looking thing, but we wanted to do all colours and something really bright.
Yeah.
At Finn's recently, when the last piece I did there, I did like used a lot of natives, like
Yeah.
really en masse and really something different.
Yeah.
So I try and play different then, and hopefully someone might see or, you know, and go, oh, wow, this looks great. I really
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. So,
Almost use those as a styled shoot, almost,
Yeah,
you know, like
kind
setting
of.
up something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Okay.
but I think I pride and the girls, we can kind of do any style.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I can see work and go, oh, I know who did that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've actually gone, did I do that? And it might, and I know who, you know, it's either her, you know, this company or me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we can kind of mix and match. You know, I did something for Bronwyn recently, and it was all twigs and, you know, like really a bit unusual. And she was really happy. She's like, oh my gosh, this is great. I love it.
Yeah.
But then I like classic, you know, just a rose bouquet.
Yeah.
It's all different. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you find, so like Melbourne and Sydney, you're saying you might import from up there. Is there certain areas? Victoria's amazing for this. New South Wales, Sydney's amazing for this.
No, I really haven't got into. Yeah, I know the farms. When I went to Melbourne, I sourced which farms were there, so I kind of know what products come from there. If I get something from Sydney, it would normally be through the flower market.
Okay.
And sometimes they're a little bit guarded too.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to say, "Oh, yeah, we get all this from here."
Yep.
But not that I can. You know, I don't think I buy enough on bulk.
Yep.
Yeah.
As some of the other girls do.
Yeah.
You know, but definitely when I rang the wholesaler in Melbourne, he's like, yeah, sure, no worries, we're really happy. But then when I spoke to him when I was there and said, you know, hey, could you maybe send me this and that?
Yep.
Oh, I don't want to tread on, you know,
Okay.
they have to be a little bit careful, and I totally understand that.
Yep.
Harry's in Sydney, amazing orchids and things like that, which, you know, again, we all kind of know the same.
Yeah. Okay.
Or well, the bigger, you know, the companies that are a little bit bigger that do a bit more.
Yeah.
And is it the Brisbane flower market that you're referring to when you say the flower market?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Brisbane
just-
Flower
okay, cool.
Market.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, cool.
And they're kind of in a group. Look, living at Jimboomba when I first started, I was like, oh my God, I got to drive all that way
Yep.
and all that way back. So there was a wholesaler closer.
Okay.
Yep.
Then they went out. They actually produced flowers, seedlings, punnets. They did a lot of work for growers, and
Yeah, okay.
you know, but they've closed down.
Yep.
The girls that took over, I gave them a good shot, but they just it just wasn't working. So,
Yeah.
but then I realised if I went to the market, you know, if these guys don't have it, then they might have it. Then
Yeah.
these guys might not have it, and then you've got one or two close as well that you can zip off to.
Yeah.
So between all of it, you normally find what you're looking for. And this morning was amazing.
Yeah.
One of the they just had the most beautiful everything. Everything was there. I was like, wow, this is like a lolly shop. Yeah, it was really good.
So it's still like that when you're going into the flower markets? Like after so many years, you're just like, wow, this is awesome.
It can be. Sometimes I go in and go, oh my God, what month is it? This is, you know, not a good growing season.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes you walk in, you go, oh wow, look at
Yeah.
that. You know, we've got this, we've got that. Or look at the quality of something, you know, like Scabiosa this morning was just amazing. So
Yeah.
you kind of go, yeah. And a few others were frothing over the hydrangea that they'd gotten in.
Yeah, okay.
So it just depends, yeah.
And so you have a wedding here on Saturday. Are you picking up the flowers? Like, how does it work? You pick it up on Friday to bring it here on Saturday, or how early?
Oh no. Normally I pick up like two days before. So if I've got a wedding, so it's ordered, 6 to 8 weeks.
Yep.
Maybe sometimes 4 if something's, but normally a few months in advance. So then we pick it up like 2 days before, just in case if I get a product and it slipped through and I look at it and go, man, I'm not using this for my bride. Then I have to get it back to them. Then I have to resource.
You need time to problem solve.
You don't want to be on, as I said, on the phone. So we'll fix those. So we prep everything. The day before we make the bulk of it. So the bouquets, bridesmaids, buttonholes, We have huge fridge. Everything goes in the fridge or in the air conditioning. And then depends if we've got overheads or huge arbor pieces or big table ends. Depends. We might pre-make some of them or green them up. But otherwise, a lot of it sometimes we go, no, that's all done. That's all in the van in the morning. Bang, and we do it on site.
The buttonholes that go on the groom's jacket and dad's jacket and stuff like that. We see 2 common styles to like pin them on. So you either get you can put the 2 pins either side, or you get the ones with like a safety pin.
It's like a little brooch pin on the back.
Like which style do you do, or is there a particular style that you would do with say like a heavier weighted flower or?
No, we've changed over now. I used to do the pins, the nice pearly pins. But yeah, watching guys struggle.
Like we do honestly do it every wedding.
Look, it's hard, and then I've actually seen a photo and they're all upside down. I was like, man,
that's my wedding.
Just like wonky.
My wedding. Someone told me before I had it up the right way, and then I think it was like mum's friend or someone told me, oh, it's supposed to go the other way. So we did it the other way, and it's like my wife tells me all the time. She's like, I don't know why you did that.
I know.
Oh yeah, because I know.
But you would think if your mum's you're just like, oh, maybe she's right. Yeah,
exactly.
So I'll normally let someone know. Maybe the head bridesmaid, we drop off the bouquets. They're in water. The tie is at the front. Hold it at your belly button slightly forward. We cut our stems a little bit shorter so that it's a nice fit. The buttonhole, it's got a little, brooch pin on the back. This is the bottom, the flowers are at the top, and we just kind of run through that. And after the photographers finish, popping the flowers and please put them back in water.
100%.
They need water. So, we go through a few little things like that and then off we go and do what we have to do. But, you still might get you might have a beautiful big phalaenopsis, and I've actually been at a wedding where I've done all the flowers and I've turned around and they're all like, yeah, bro. And the flowers on the ground. And I'm like, man, so, quick fix it job. But so we kind of just go through all of those things as well.
I feel like note to grooms, they should let you know if they're only wearing a shirt, because the amount of times like we have to put like a heavy flower and they're wearing like a white shirt and they put it on and it's just like this.
Yeah,
I'm like,
really good.
Please let you know like what they'll be wearing.
They probably should do like a pocket square, like, where your flowers are placed or glued and placed across, and then it slides on a cardboard and sits in there. But it should be a talk to for that as well. Yeah, definitely.
And the bow ties, we need to figure that out. And do you find when we're shooting weddings, kind of ceremony will get reused over towards the reception? Is that happening a lot with what you're doing, or?
Look, I find I have to be really careful. I don't upset them.
Okay.
I find with some of the stylists.
Upset people.
No.
It'll go viral on TikTok.
No. Look, I'm even being good. No swear words. Yeah, I'm being really good.
I'm going to have a talk to her.
Yeah. I find a lot of, you might start talking to a bride and she goes, oh, I'm having this, particular, and the stylist said I can just, cut everything off and put it on the table.
Hectic.
And it's like, wow, this is really hard, because I do not want to, say, your stylist, no, that's not how it works.
Yep.
But, we create things, if you're going to look at an arbor, you're looking this way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When you put it down on the table, you're going to be looking into the sides.
Yep.
So for me to cover that, which I am anal about, everything, I don't want to see foam. I want it. So that means it's more flowers.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to cost you more, but
money.
they don't want to pay more, because that's why they're reusing.
Yeah.
A bridal bouquet is made to be held
from this
look.
direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, you get different bridal bouquets. You might have some draping front facing. They might be long, you know, so they can carry them down.
Yep.
They might want to carry them in their arm. And then halfway, you know, after they've been used, they pop them in a vase of water and it's like, oh, it's probably not the best idea. And then they've been out of water a long time, so they start to look a bit sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you've got that sitting on your bridal table, I'd be a little bit not so great.
Yeah.
But I do understand sometimes they, you know, they want to try and get as much as they can
Yeah.
for their money, with, you know, value for money. But I would sometimes I'll be like, well, what is the most important thing?
Yeah.
Let's concentrate on that. Let's make like a wow arbor.
Yeah.
You can move it, pop it behind
Yes.
your table,
Yep.
Yep.
get your photos.
Yep.
So we try and go through that.
Yeah.
Yeah, work with that.
I've never really actually thought about it. You made a good point, bringing the bouquets and putting them on the table. I guess that's just something that I feel like most venues kind of just grab it from the bride and then go put it on the table or something like that, or even, you know, the bridesmaids or something. What do you recommend to do with it then?
Look, you by all means, pop it in water.
Yeah.
You know, and if you want to keep it, maybe on the gift table or something,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
maybe
cool.
in some other areas, but
Not just right in the front of the photo.
maybe not right in the front. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and it depends. And most of the time, it's going to be put sideways.
Yeah, yeah.
If, you know,
Yeah.
if it was facing this way, and you're looking at a photo later, going, oh wow, that's really not doing
Yeah.
Yeah.
the flower or the table justice.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe a beautiful, you know, table arrangement would have been better. But by all means, keep them. And yeah, definitely, you know, I've just spoken to a bride. She's like, what do I do with my flowers after?
Yeah.
You know, there's some really good companies that will dry them and frame them, and they're amazing. They look beautiful. So that's a good option.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely put them back in water. But maybe, you know, if I have to do it, like, you know, if my bride really says I want to do this, then I'm not going to argue with her. I mean, I'm going to go ahead with it and give her some tips and say maybe we could do this or use it here or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I feel like
You know.
bouquet toss is a thing of the past as well.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I used to always get the bouquet toss. Maybe it's because I'm
you're lucky
like
boy.
an old man now. I get out of there before then.
I don't.
You're
I
right.
feel like
Yeah.
I don't do many.
No, I haven't done
No.
one in forever.
No,
Like
I haven't had many. I find sometimes my smaller weddings, maybe not at a lot of the venues, but yeah, not so many. And we will just make a separate,
just a, yeah,
smaller type of, you know, that it's thrown over.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't do a lot of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. That's
We have
definitely
done them
shifted.
definitely, but
It's
not a
definitely
lot.
more flower tosses than the garter removal.
Yeah,
Damn.
that's your highlight. You stay around till then just for that.
Yeah. Look, normally we do a wedding, and you guys have probably seen me. I'm tracking up and down.
Yeah.
I've got black pants on. My hair's a mess.
Yeah.
I got a big hat on, and I'm just sweating, and I'm thinking, ugh. So I try and hide.
Yeah.
And then we'll just do it, bang, and we're out of there. You
Yeah,
know,
okay.
so that everything's done.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about earlier about repurposing. Even comes into the extra time that you're then here as well.
Yeah.
Because like same thing where we're trying to get photos of a reception set up before everyone enters. But if you're then disassembling the ceremony space to set up in the reception, it kind of eats into that as well.
Well, that's
and,
it.
And then all of a sudden you're here from, you know, we see you here at 10 o'clock setting up sometimes, then you're here right till 5 o'clock because you're resetting another area.
Yeah.
So it's good, yeah.
Look, a lot of, you know, I would have to, you know, you do have to charge. You do have to let
Yeah,
the
of
bride
course.
know, say, well, if I'm not going to be here. And sometimes I'm just a mum. I see it and I go, oh, okay, I'll stay.
Yeah.
I'll just fix this or I'll do this or I'll do that. Or, you know, Drew's rung me and said, Rox, you know, the wind's incredible. You've got to come back. And I'm like, okay, so I'll drive down the mountain and come back. But if I'm going to pay one of my staff,
Yeah,
obviously,
exactly.
they want to be paid. I can't
Yeah.
just let them sit here.
Yeah.
And then that's going to be extra. So I know some of the venues now you might be able to get, for example, Drew said, what do? I was like, okay, these are your instructions.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, move this and do this.
It's probably just still not the same though.
It's not. It's not.
Like-
You know, and I'm not being disrespectful because I think that's amazing
it's
that
the
they
same
help
when,
us.
It's the same when someone I was at a wedding on the weekend and they were like, "Oh, I'll get a quick photo of you with the couple," and so I gave my camera and I'm like, "It's still just not going to be the same because the horizon's probably crooked or
Exactly.
it's out of focus."
Yeah. Well, I've given instructions. You know, I've done one exactly. I said, look, this is a photo. This is exactly where
Exactly.
this has to sit.
Yeah.
and this piece goes exactly here. Click, click.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, Rox, no worries. I can do this.
Piece of cake.
Sure enough, I looked at it and I went, man, like it's just not right.
Yeah.
And because we've created, the same as you got, like you looked at the photo and went, no, that's just not right.
Yeah.
You kind of hone in on that all the time.
Exactly.
But it is wonderful that I didn't have to, you know, she's like, no, we can move this. We can do it. No problem.
It's a good solution to have if they're like, no, we can't afford it anymore, or you know,
exactly.
that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
If a bride's looking for a florist, is there any red flags that we should know about to stay away from? Like if you see, you know, obviously there's so many businesses pop up, especially with Instagram, and there's a lot of startups, which is awesome. But are there any things you see and you're like, maybe not?
For the bride?
For the bride.
Look, we say it all the time, and just being really honest, like if it's really cheap,
Yep.
Yeah. There's a reason.
and honestly, I mean, we all buy from the same places.
Yep.
Yep.
We all spend this. We all pay the same price.
Yep.
You know, there's not like I'm not sleeping with the guy to,
Yeah.
you know, so he gives me, So,
That's how I get my discount. That's how I make my profit.
That's how I get mine.
and, so, you know, we're all the same. So you're obviously going to get less flowers.
Yep.
You know, you're not going to get maybe, you know, it depends on the quality. They might not run around as much. They might not have ordered. You might not even get the flowers.
Yep.
And there are a few instances where I've had, you know, a bride ring me and I've said, look, I would love to take over your wedding.
Yep.
But honestly, I cannot.
Physically, yeah.
Even at a wholesale price,
Yeah.
I can't buy the flowers for what the previous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're charging.
It's almost like ask them where they're getting their flowers from, so
let
you
me
can
know.
buy it from.
Yeah. I'm in. I'll be in my car down there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you know, I look at it. Look, I'm not married. If I was going to get married, I would be on Instagram.
Yep.
I would be looking at that work as I do
Yep.
when I'm allowed.
Yeah.
And I would go, you know what? This work is beautiful.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yep.
This is how much it is. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, if you go to dinner, hey guys, let's go to, is it Papa? Where, you know, one Italian restaurant in the city. My daughter just went there. She's telling me how amazing.
Yeah, right.
I was like, I looked at the food. I want to go there.
Yeah.
That's how much it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you're not like,
It's
that
experience.
$80 steak. Oh, can I have it for $30?
Yeah. And I do, and again, bringing us back to everyone has a different budget. I totally accept that. But okay, let's not try and spread that among it. Let's try and focus on how about we have amazing this and amazing that, you know.
Yep.
We try and do it that way.
And is there like a minimum, like are you doing elopements and stuff? Like is there a minimum spend that you would kind of have? Like are you kind of looking for at least 3 bridal bouquets and an arbor or anything like that?
Look, not really. Look, some of the girls will say, Rox, really? And I go, do you know what? I'm going to do an elopement. I'm going to do a bouquet and a buttonhole.
Yep.
You know, and this is how much it is.
Yep.
These are the type of flowers she wanted. We count them out.
Yep.
And I think like a lot of us will sit there and literally count 1, 2, 3, 5 roses, 6 of this, 4 of that. I mean, that's how to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Correctly. There really is no other way. Or if you want to do a huge arbor, let's gauge out an inch by inch section, count it up, work out,
The floral density.
So I you know, and with delivery cost, we'll do it. It doesn't matter. You know, I do have, we can do 2, but we can do whatever. It's just how it is. But, you know, sometimes I have a young girl that'll walk in the shop and go, I'm getting married and I want that, and that.
Yep.
And I'm picking it up on Saturday.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we can do that as well.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
So, you know, and I understand a lot of the girls they might not have a shop, and that's where it is a little bit handy.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a beautiful wedding coming up. It's a small bespoke wedding. She wants, you know, a different coloured flower for each bridesmaid.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
But I still have to buy a whole bunch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
of course.
Even though
Of course.
it's one flower.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what would I do with
How
that
can I
if so it goes
Fair
in,
point.
you know, so we can reshuffle and reuse and things. But that I hope that doesn't sound too.
No,
but yeah,
for sure.
so you have to think of those things.
Yeah, definitely. Otherwise, the amount you'd have to charge if you had to charge for each one of those flowers is crazy.
And the same, you know, the young girl that I did the wedding for in Melbourne, she's like, first of all, it started, hey, you know, because I know you really well, I'm getting married and I want to buy some flowers and make the bouquet and everything myself.
Yep.
And I went, okay,
Perfect.
yeah, great idea.
Yeah.
You know, when she's sitting in her backyard and there's just flowers everywhere.
Yeah.
It's 3 times I've done that. Sorry, flowers everywhere. It must be the Walgamere talking with my hands. And she, I've got her stripping, and then I've got the girls working with me, and she's like, I could never have done this. I said, no, you
Yeah,
couldn't
no.
have.
you
Yeah.
know. So
And that's definitely something that we see like pretty often, or not pretty often, like at 1/10 of the time kind of thing, where it's like people are trying to save in different areas. It doesn't have to just be floristry, but where they're like, but we do definitely see it where they're like, yeah, we're going to have our bridesmaids do their flowers the morning of or the night before or something like that. My wife being a florist, the amount of times that like she's actually been a part of bridal party, and it's just like, it's the worst. Like you don't want to, you want to be sitting with the girls doing like face,
Yeah.
whatever they call
Yeah.
it.
Call it, Joel.
yeah.
I've gone blank.
It's
a
so
face
true.
mask.
Yeah.
You don't want to be sitting there doing flowers. Like,
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
yeah, just
You've got other things to be with your friend. Yeah, exactly. And this is what I spoke to this young girl, and she's like, okay, you win. Okay, you do this, and this is our budget, and da da da.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Yeah.
But you do get that, and without telling stories. I mean, I've been to a venue and I've only had to deliver bouquets.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, there's something
what's
going on here.
Yep.
And I've found, table arrangements and things, and I'm like, and I'm thinking, please, this is not my work.
Yeah.
This is my work.
Don't tag me in this.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and that sounds really, but it's
is.
true.
Yeah.
And I've actually looked at it, and then I've actually fixed up
Yeah.
some of the
Yeah.
the pieces and gone, oh my God, how could this be? But and I understand, again, if you've got a limited budget, maybe really have to think about what I want to spend the bulk of my money on.
Yeah, definitely.
it's the same as like the guys, like the morning of, it's typical that the bride's like, oh, I'm going to just have the boys go and set up this at the reception venue or
I've
something
done
like
that. Yeah, I've had that too.
And like, it's just such a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like,
And they're just standing there
There's-
scratching their balls going,
exactly.
hey, Rox, what do I do?
What do I do?
So I've stayed back an hour and I said, okay, let's do this. And we've tied everything back on the chairs and
Their
done
balls
this
too,
and done that. I felt like it. So yeah, we had to go through all that. But I've had my staff's going, we shouldn't be doing this. I'm like,
Yeah.
I know, but that's the mum in me.
Yeah.
If it was my daughter, I want it to be perfect.
Yeah.
So
it's like that.
Let's
Hey,
do
you
it.
just get so like caught up with the couple. You're just like, oh, I just want them to have a good day. Like, I
Yeah.
want to do the
Yeah.
best job I can.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not getting paid for any of this,
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it all.
Don't want the bride to be angry with the groom, like she rocks up and
Yeah,
sees it.
yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, there's like 5. I think he had his mates there.
God.
Got their beer, and they're
exactly.
trying to work out what to do at the gym. And I'm like, man,
we're
just
putting
give
the
it to
ar-
me.
we're putting
just
the
give it to me.
arbor up and-
just give it to me. Get out of my way. But yeah, so
I'll pay
those
you
things
to
happen.
leave.
Yes, get out of here.
Yeah, no, they were really nice guys. But yeah,
So can you actually buy? There's been a few times when I'll get the vendor sheet and it says like the Brisbane Flower Market.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just buy retail from there as well. Like that's what some brides are doing.
yeah.
And they just do it themselves.
All of them do sell to the public.
Okay.
And yeah, but for example, if you want to go in and buy a certain rose that
Yep.
is very popular with weddings, I'm going to get it before you.
100%.
Which is hopefully that's how it should be.
Exactly.
And then you're going to pay
You're just gonna get the
a separate
dregs.
amount. We have we have a separate. So yeah, it does work like that. I think it is. I know that Sydney, Melbourne, and I'm not 100%, but I do know they don't let a lot of public in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But they have a lot of growers.
Yep.
So you have to grow to go
Yep.
to sell product there.
Yep.
Whereas, ours are bigger companies and they'll import. Although Redlands are amazing, they grow
Okay.
a lot of their product.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
okay.
we do sell to the public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's fine though. Like it's same as like kind of the photography industry. It's like there's a bunch of film labs that develop photos and print and stuff for us, and they only deal wholesale. So I don't think there's anything.
I think
wrong
that's
with,
good.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. It's kind of like you're going here and they get the best, and like that's just what you're getting. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's fair. It's good. It's fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. It's no different. Landscapers, they've got, wholesale
Yeah,
nurseries.
exactly.
And if you don't have a business, you can't, buy from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, and look, they all have talks about it. Should we do, but that's all between them. I mean, they still want to pay their rent, don't they?
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
But it is slightly different
Yeah.
in Brisbane.
And trends for next year, are you seeing anything come through apart from all your natives?
Oh, look, we don't do – look, the natives come and go. I think with trends, you know, like the trend of jip, you know, that's kind of – it's still popping up here and there. I mean, you know, when I first started floristry, I hated jip. I hate it. You know, you make a bouquet and you got a little bit here, a little bit there.
Yeah.
But then I was like, you know, seeing like let's do it en masse, and a lot of the girls, and that's what we did. And it's amazing. So I have a new friendship with it.
Yeah.
And I, you know, I like things. But trends, you know, if you're planning your wedding in 2 years' time, it's going to change. Things are going to change.
Yeah.
So, you know, think of what you really love and, you know, make that.
Yeah.
And then by the time the wedding comes around, maybe 6 to 8 weeks before, you know, even then if you said to me, hey, Rox, you know, I've thought about it. I want to change my colour.
Yep.
6 to 8 weeks, we could probably do it.
Yeah.
Or, you know, we could slightly change the style. But overall, make it your own, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
I think a lot more girls are wearing, you know, like some amazing outfit or coloured dress or, you know, trousers, whatever, and then tailor your flowers to that. I think that's really nice.
Yeah.
But maybe that's what I would do if I ever got married.
Yeah.
But I it's hard. They all see everything on
Instagram. Yeah.
what's that other
Pinterest.
Pinterest. They see a
Pinterest.
lot of things on there, which is and they see a trend and they want to have that.
Yeah.
So if they're really, yes, this is really what I want, well, I will do something similar, and then we kind of tailor it and you know.
And how much? How does the process work as far as like how much input would a bride have? And how do you go for that? Like they might send you through a few photos and then you say, well, cool, this is what I'm thinking. Or how does that kind of process work?
Yeah, you know, once they might send through a few photos. Sometimes I have a meeting like I did this morning.
Yep.
We don't always. I know some of the bigger weddings, of course, the girls want to feel comfortable. Yep. Sometimes a bride might just ring me and say, look, you know, I like these photos. This is the type of thing. I want flowers here, here and here. You know the venue. This is my budget.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go for it.
Perfect.
Which is amazing because, you know, and I'm like, you know, sometimes I come back and say, you know, we want to do this. But, you can see a thread running through what they've kind of sent you.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't want to copy. I don't want to do, you know, everyone else's work.
Yeah.
And I want it to be for her.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so we'll work that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And most of the time you get trust.
Yeah,
of course. I've seen a big trend at the moment, just like single stem roses. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't mind. You know, as I said, I've got a wedding coming up where she wants single stem flowers.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I like it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how much longer we have to reflex these damn things, but I don't mind. Some roses reflex beautifully, others not a nightmare.
Yeah.
You might make a reflex bouquet and it's stunning. You put it in your fridge and in the morning, you know,
Kinda start
bruising.
browning.
Yeah. And those bruises might have happened a week ago when someone threw it on the conveyor belt or whatever, bumped it in the truck. It's really, you know, things like that it's, you know, you get there.
Yeah.
So, of course, you have to have some extra product and you might be at the last minute going, shit, get that out of there and let's replace it.
Yeah.
You know, that you can roll, and I know you've heard about this, you can roll roses, which I prefer. I like doing things like that. But sometimes, you know, my eldest daughter, she loves reflex roses.
Yeah.
It's bigger, it's bolder, it looks more glamorous. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay.
I'm sitting here pretending I know what
Reflex, where you
Reflex
flip
is?
down and fold the rose petals all
Okay.
the way around so that a rose looks really big and amazing.
Okay, cool.
So you literally, you know, you have to get it at the right temperature. You have to get it in the right time.
Okay.
You will pop your thumb in and flip down the rose petal
Yep.
and work your way around the rose so that it actually is a lot bigger.
Okay.
And it's great, a lot of coloured, but on white roses it can be a little bit tricky.
Yeah, okay then.
But it looks stunning. It looks amazing.
Yep. And so
So-
you're going through like every rose and do it. Okay.
And some of the girls might do 30,000 or it's crazy.
Oh, wow.
If you've got to do 1,000 of them, it's like,
Yeah, and that's kind of a thing, like you're saying, you're doing like 2 days. Beautiful. I can
So
see
instead of like that, it looks more like that. Just
Yes.
Like open.
yeah.
And full.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
And so same thing, that's like something you're doing 2 days beforehand or something, like if you're picking up the flowers, you're doing all that and getting it ready to bring it out here.
Yeah, yeah. So you'll do that on your prep day
Yep.
if you know. So everything's cut, stripped, it's all popped in buckets, it's all conditioned. And then you think, okay, you know, I've got 300 white roses that I have to use. They all have, you just sit there and listen to music or chat with each other, whatever. But you can roll and get a nice fluffy, but it depends on the rose you've got.
Okay.
You blow them too.
Yeah.
Where are we taking this job?
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, do you want me to behave?
Sorry, and the roses too.
Yeah, you can blow on them. You can pluck centers out. There's lots of little tricks.
Yeah.
You can have one rose and change it four different ways and use the same flower in a bouquet.
Yeah.
But normally if they're having reflex, they want them en masse or all of them. But it depends on the look too. If you want a cottagey, classical, you don't really want to.
Yeah.
Whereas, sometimes maybe we should reflex that. I go, no, I like it look more cottagey and roll it and fluff it out. Yeah. It depends on the style.
And that would come down to even seeing the venue where they're getting married and what's going to tie into that as well.
Definitely. You might have a very cement floor, a very, beams are very cold, different venues, different type of vibe.
Yeah.
And, your bride might go, I want this and this, and it's like, it's not really going to work. So you gently can kind of talk them around.
Yeah, okay then.
And like morning of, like we kind of, us photographers, we roll in, we want some photos of the bouquets and stuff, as I'm sure that you want photos of your bouquet. We take them out, dab the bottom of them with towels and stuff like that, take some photos of them, back in the water.
Back in the water,
cool.
definitely. And, sometimes, look, and again, it's really hard, I when you work at certain venues, you'll have group of people.
Yep.
You know who this is who they choose to make the cake.
Yep.
Most of the time, this is who they choose for the photographers. I mean, and we have favourite photographers that think outside the box.
Yep.
That know that the bouquet looks like that, so maybe hold it around the shoulder or don't hold it down. And sometimes I think, I've never heard of that photographer, and I might say something to them, but the brides are busy or their bridesmaids have got other things in their head. Yeah. And I'll see something that come back and I go, I don't want to be telling them how to do the job, but I think maybe they didn't get the best angle or the best photo of that.
Yeah.
But it's learning as well, I suppose. They might be a new photographer.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
Do you do many styled shoots? Like we're talking about the trail, you'll kind of set up and do something elaborate there for yourself. Do you do many style shoots?
For a while, I did a lot.
Yep.
And it is good fun because you're freehold. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
With COVID, we were just too busy.
Yep.
And I still think I did one or two trails.
Yep.
But we were just so busy.
Yeah.
It was like cramming 2.5 years of work into 1 year, like all the other, all the other florists. But I still would, if it's someone cool and they've got some great ideas or they go, can you do this with us?
Would it be something more that you want to plan and style and like come up with the creative design of the whole shoot, or is it more like you want to collaborate with, say, like a planner or a stylist, and then you kind of collaborate on like a look and a flower or tile?
Probably collaborate. Sometimes I might see some things and go, I'd really love to do this or that. That venue's amazing. I haven't worked there. I'd like to do. And then I go, who am I? I don't have time.
Yeah.
So, but again, for example, if Bronwyn says, hey, I'm thinking of doing something here and I want it in this colours. So I'll do like a winery for her and I'll say, what about en masse? What colour? Yeah. And I just do it. Yeah. And then she's like, yep, I love it. I'm happy.
Yeah.
So, and I can still get to play and do what I want.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That's good.
And you still, not to come back to the money, but you still see the payoff for that because obviously it's a big expense for the florist, probably the most out of everyone.
Oh, yeah.
You still see the payoff that it's worth it for you?
I think with the way the social media runs now with all the young people, they all live on it.
Yeah.
So, if you can get some really good shots and put up on there. Yeah. Sometimes I've done and I've outlaid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've looked at it and gone, this is not good.
Yeah.
Well, my social media
manager.
Woman, manager. She goes, really, I'm not happy with that. I'm not using any of it. And I go, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But at least, I still had people talk, or there might have been whoever was there went, oh wow, this is great. You know. And again, I believe in word of mouth.
Yeah, for sure. Is that
the best.
Still big for you, word of mouth? Like, do people come into the store to see, like say they're in Brisbane, will they come into the store if they want to hire you for their wedding to look at some florals with you in store?
Sometimes we do.
Yeah.
It depends. Sometimes they'll say, oh, hey, I want to catch up.
Yep.
And then when they realise where I am, they're like, So we might meet somewhere.
Yep.
But again, I think with the way it all works, if they just send me a heap of photos, I can talk to them on the phone.
Yep.
And I'm lucky, like all of my brides, I don't think I've had anyone out of they've all been wonderful. So you kind of get that feeling. And I'm pretty good. They trust,
Yeah.
you know, once they have a chat, like, you know, Steph this morning, she's like, oh my God, that's a huge weight off my shoulder. And I said,
Yeah.
look, you know, just leave it to me.
Yep.
This is what we're going to do. How does that sound? And yeah, she feels great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So-
great when you can get on the phone to like clients. Like I definitely try and get on the, you know, a Zoom call or something like that, or, you know, go for a coffee. And they're always just like, again, like naturally so, because they don't plan weddings every other day. And then as soon as you like tell them, you're like, yep, I've got this. And you kind of like, you know, we kind of help plan the run sheet and stuff like that. And then they're like, oh, like I feel so much better now. Like,
Yeah.
and you know, you're 6 weeks out from the wedding and they're like, oh yeah, I feel really good now. Like yesterday, stressing, like feeling like I'm not organized and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely helpful when you can get on the phone and just like reiterate that, like, yep, you're all over it, or like, oh, maybe we need to do a couple of extra things. And
But it's, you know, it's like building a house. I mean,
Yeah.
if you go, I'm going to build a house.
Yep.
I don't know how to build a house.
Yeah.
What do I put up first? The frame? Do I put the gyprock up first?
Yeah.
Or do I, you know, when you work at venues or you have specific areas and you work with certain people,
Yep.
you know, kind of, oh yeah, Roxy will be here at this time.
Yep,
She
for
normally
sure.
comes then. She's going to do this. She's going to do that. The makeup artists, I'll walk in and they're like, oh my gosh, hey, how are you?
yeah,
and
yeah.
they're going, oh, you've got her, you know, so they'll
Yeah.
put in a good word.
Yeah.
So it helps alleviate the stress for a lot of
Yeah,
the brides,
definitely.
which is great.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
And it's so that, again, that's our family. That's
Exactly.
all, you know, all,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so,
we-
yeah. Go.
I get it like a vendor list from my clients, and I'm like, I like have a look through, and I'm like, we're gonna go to team, like we're
Yeah.
such a good team. And then sometimes you're like, I've never heard of this person, and then you're like, go on their Instagram, and you're like,
Hopefully.
awesome,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, interesting.
Yeah, we don't want to be too, but yeah, sometimes it could be a little bit. For example, you know, when I went to the Earth House,
Yep.
and the gentleman that owns it, like, yeah, it's a little bit, yeah, great guy, amazing, and the place is perfect.
Yeah,
it's
beautiful.
like absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
And then, you know, my daughter was, oh yeah, my mum's going to do my flowers, and
Yeah,
He would have been stressing. Like
Yeah.
Monroe's like,
yeah, well, you know, once I met him,
Yeah.
he was really cool.
Yeah.
But she had a stylist with the furniture hire and everything. And she said to me later, she's like, oh my God, I was freaking out.
Yeah.
Like my mum's going to do my flowers in this
Yeah.
beautiful
Yeah.
venue. But yeah, because my daughter, she didn't say, oh yeah, my mum's a florist.
Yeah,
She's
exactly.
like, my mum's going to do my flowers.
Yeah.
she's also
morning
gonna be the
of-
photographer too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So afterwards, they were like, oh my God. And then Monroe's like, oh, hey, you have to get on our books and
Yeah.
da 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 da.
Yeah.
But, you know, it is a bit of a trek down there, but
Yeah.
it's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's
absolutely
nice.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, you how many like percentage wise? I mean, not so much is close to home, I guess. Like
Yeah, I do a lot of driving.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
you
we
do a lot of
drive. I
miles.
drive everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
we do a lot of driving. You know, we can do, I do a lot in New South Wales.
Yeah. Okay.
I really like to work up in the Scenic Rim. Obviously, it's a little bit closer,
Yeah.
but I think it's such a great area.
Yeah,
We have
beautiful.
so much to offer. I mean, even just when I first met Bronwyn and learning about it, I was like, oh my God, I've never been there.
Yeah.
I've never heard about that. And yeah, you know, 2 weeks ago, I did 2 weddings at little B&Bs
Yeah.
over Ipswich, like out.
Yeah.
out.
Okay.
You know, one of them is a dirt track, the cows, which, you know, I was thinking, oh my God, there better not be someone with an axe
Yeah,
at
I'm
the
getting
end of
murdered
this.
here.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden I come around the corner and there's this amazing B&B and this family from the UK have come to do the wedding. So again, I never,
awesome.
you know, I only spoke to the bride on email,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, and it was beautiful. It was perfect. And it was intimate and it was lovely. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So we do a big variety of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one other thing I want to touch on. Like as far as chemicals and stuff like that on flowers, is it not an issue for you whatsoever? Like as far as like we've heard about people, you know, getting sore hands and having to be really careful with chemicals that are sprayed on flowers and treatments and everything like that. Is that an issue in
Maybe
the
I've
industry?
hardened up after doing hairdressing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you know,
yeah.
if you're breathing in perm solution and peroxide's burning your
Yeah.
fingertips off. But
Yeah.
look, no, sometimes there might be something that I'll pick up and
Yeah.
I think, you know, we might get a little bit of a skin rash, but no, it's normally not too bad.
Okay.
And I would really we try and be environmentally friendly as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes with our weather,
Yeah.
you know, it's not like, you know, last week in Melbourne when I used, you know, like 40, 50, 60 bunches of hydrangeas.
Yeah.
You know, took them out the car, put them in the backyard, made all the arrangements, took them the next day. They were perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I can put a bunch of hydrangeas in my car from the market in the morning. By the time I get back to Jim Boomba,
Yep. Cooked.
Yeah.
you know,
okay.
we've got, so things like that. But I don't really find too much
not an issue.
problem. But I would like to use less foam, going back
Yep.
to that issue because
Yeah.
I wondered.
Yep.
I would like to use less foam and try and think of different ways, and we're always looking.
Okay.
Yeah.
But sometimes, if you've got 40-degree heat in
Yeah.
these marquees, they need a shit ton of water.
They need water.
Okay.
So, you're just pouring buckets of water on everything constantly.
Yeah.
But I don't really have a problem with
Yeah. Okay.
chemicals as such,
So how does the foam work? Sorry, I know Joel will probably know.
Foam, look, a lot of the girls are all trying to get away from it. So they're not really great. But
Okay.
like a block of foam,
Yep.
Oasis, I don't really know the chemical compound, but
Yep.
pop it in the water, it soaks up the water, cut your flower, pop it in, and
Okay.
it drinks water out of the foam.
Okay. Yep.
But yeah, like, try and doing an arbor
Yep.
and you've got a wind and you're on the hill and the sun and the breeze and
Yeah.
to keep a good water source. And they're probably not the greatest, but yeah, we try different things to keep,
Okay.
Yeah.
stand there with the spray bottle for like 3 hours before the wedding.
We were up at Gavin Bar the other
Yeah,
day.
I was about to
It was
say.
like 10 minutes before ceremony, just like spraying.
Yeah. The worst I've done, I did an open day in a little church and it was 51 degrees and it was hard work. I just stood there, spray the flowers, spray myself, spray the flowers. We managed, but yeah, it is harder in Queensland. I do give it that. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
definitely.
weather.
End of a wedding, receptions full of flowers and everything. What do we do? What do you do with the flowers?
Look, I offer if I have to go, Ancora or even here and they've got mainly a big overhead or something, and I've got to come back and take all the flowers off because it's our responsibility
Yep.
to bin them,
Okay.
like Simon's going to kill me if I leave, 20 buckets of rubbish and flowers.
Yeah.
So, I can come back and before I will cut them down or pull them out, wrap them, give them, I offered that for a while. Sometimes I've walked in and the bride's like, I don't want any of it. I've got to
Yeah.
catch a plane.
Yeah.
See you
yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's table arrangements, most of them on the bats, you can just give them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The wedding I just did in Melbourne, she goes, I'm just going to give them all to everyone. I said, go for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mum loves it.
Yeah, they just
Yeah.
pick up, So it just depends.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've come back and everything is stripped. There's not one thing left,
Yeah.
which is great. The brides want to take everything and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I come back and I go, oh my gosh, this every flower's still left sitting
Yeah.
Did
here.
they take anything?
So it just kind of gets chucked in the van and
Yeah.
by then it's ready for the bin.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Got to make a bin trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Which
obviously,
is a shame.
yeah. It seems you're very good at business, like going back your past and everything like that. How do you find with the business still word of mouth or venues or like what do you see the most value in for your business?
I think a good relationship with all the venues.
Yeah.
Or the staff that work there, but sometimes it's a bit hard because some of them, the young staff, they're changing constantly.
Yep.
Word of mouth is great.
Yep.
I look on I look at that social media thing and I go, should I have more followers?
Yeah.
I don't know. Should I post more? But again, I just leave that to my daughter.
Yeah.
She's looking after her kids. She's trying to do this. And she's happy with it.
Yep.
But yeah, a stylist or a photographer, sometimes someone will come to me and say, oh, I need a photographer. I need a venue.
Yep.
Even the other day, people from the UK,
Yeah.
family friends are like, can you ask your mum what venue? We want this type of thing, this type of thing.
Yep.
Who do we look for?
Yep.
So, and in hairdressing, it's always been word of
Oh,
mouth.
for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, I could advertise,
Yeah.
I did. I advertised like crazy in the beginning.
Yep.
But if you're good at your job,
Yeah.
it just kind of follows.
Yeah.
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 Oh, that's perfect.
So that's how it works.
All right. And then where can people find you if they're looking for you?
Yeah, maybe for me personally,
Yeah.
I'll probably be, slogging it out somewhere.
Sweating, walking up and down somewhere.
I'll be
Rosewood.
swimming and my new passion. No, I'm back to swimming
Yeah, okay.
and bike riding.
Oh,
But I'm, with a sweaty hat and looking great. But no, just bunch it up at gmail.com.
Yep. Perfect. And all the
That's
Instagram, can't go past that.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well,
Bunch it up.
what's on there when it gets on there.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Well,
But yeah, or they can just ring the shop, and sometimes I think I just had a message recently and even I don't really like Facebook.
Yep.
I don't put a lot on there. But yeah, sometimes people message there and we just redirect it through.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, or ring and again, I'll just say, look, if you contact us on here, we'll send out a template like we all kind of do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not as fancy and it's not all as beautifully written, but you know.
Yeah.
Gets the job
So
done.
it's Bunch It Up on Instagram,
Yep.
and then Bunch It Up at Gmail,
Yep.
and the shop front is called
Bunch it up.
Bunch It Up as well.
Yeah.
Beautiful,
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
awesome.
At Chimboomba.
Well,
In the middle of nowhere. Well, not so much anymore.
No,
It's
not anymore.
growing.
Yeah,
Everything's
exactly.
growing.
Yep.
Scenic
Yep.
Rim's growing.
Yep.
Yep.
All growing.
You did amazing.
Thank you so much.
You did
boy.
really, really good. This was a
I
very
told you I took
easy
the leg off the chair.
No, this is perfect.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
absolutely rocked it.
I hope
No.
you've stopped by now. So.
No, thank you so
All
much
right.
for coming on.
No,
It's been a
guys, you
pleasure
made it
having
really
you.
comfortable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wedco podcast. We're dropping a fresh episode every week featuring industry professionals dishing out the wedding wisdom you need to turn those dreams into reality. Make sure you are following us on social media, you have those notifications turned on so we can help plan your wedding day. Your dream wedding day just got a whole lot easier. Thanks for listening.